like a carrot. I can put anything that is essentially soft after I boiled it or steamed it. And with enough pressure, I push, and it basically pushes it through the die, or the sort of, I guess, handle puts enough pressure to force it through the grate, and then it comes out rice size. If you did not have a ricer, you could use a box grater, essentially on a smaller hole, or you could push it back through a larger sieve or sieve. But you definitely don't want to mash it. You don't want to use an immersion blender or anything. You don't want to draw out any starch out of the dish unnecessarily, okay? Because it's going to make them really, really gummy, and that's not what we want to do. So I'm just going to prep my ingredients. I'm going to take eggs. I'm going to use a measuring cup for flour. Thanks, guys. Behind. Thank you. And I'm going to use a giant bowl. Put a decent amount of butter in here, and just bring it over to the stove. Just don't even worry about measuring it. Just maybe take like a big chunk off a piece of butter in the fridge. Or there might be a container in the fridge, Emmanuel. Just literally put like half a pound of butter. Like a heaping pile of butter, please. Okay. So that's on a small delay, I think. You're going to see in a minute. So I got my bowl, I got my measuring cup, I got my eggs, I got my ricer, I have a bench scraper, I have a bowl scraper here, and I have potatoes. Okay? Easiest way to prep these potatoes to get them ready is to just take a paring knife and a spoon and split them. There's a fine line between them being too hot and being too cold. It's nice to work with them when they're soft, because it's a lot easier to pull out the flesh. If I just split it in half, you can see just with a spoon, I just basically pull out all the flesh as much as possible without getting too much of the shell. Or alternatively, I could take the time and with my knife, just take the skin off. They're a little bit hot still, obviously, because I just baked them. But again, they're not, if I were to boil them, they'd be dripping all over the counter. So, ooh, it's hot. So I think I might just peel them. I end up wasting less when I peel them. By the way, the ratio, just so you know, depending if you wanted to make gnocchi, it's around 1 large potato per person, because you do add egg and flour to your dish. You get quite a bit more than just the actual yield of the potato itself. So peeling them all. And you'll see how quick this is, by the way. We're going to be able to eat this before you go. Nothing says Good Friday breakfast like, ooh, it's hot, like potato gnocchi. So I got 3, 6, 9, 12. I got about 18 potatoes here. I did one for every person in the class. Okay? But again, you gotta be mindful that a lot of the peel goes in the garbage, and then potatoes are different sizes. So one of the biggest things that I had in my period 3 yesterday, I just said, make sure you go through and you sort of sort the potatoes so that they all cook the same. If one was smaller, it would cook faster than the bigger one, and it would be raw. Okay? So I'm gonna, ooh, it's hot. I'm gonna quickly peel these guys. Hot. Very hot. Believe it or not, this is actually the hardest part. The rest is pretty easy. You notice I'm not using a recipe, by the way, like you're gonna write the recipe, but when I bake versus cook, I often don't use a recipe. Essentially what I do is I learn from trial and error, and this is why I said early on in the beginning of the year, I much prefer to cook than bake, because baking is an exact science. With cooking, if you like a little more garlic, you like a little more cheese, you can do that, and it won't necessarily adversely affect the recipe. But again, with the baking, you start foregoing some of the flour and baking soda and other the ingredients, and it's not going to turn out the same. But this is much, much nicer. The biggest thing, believe it or not, unlike fresh egg pasta, which we will do as well, which some of you I believe did, is that I do not want to knead this. Why would I not want to knead the gnocchi once I have the flour mixed with it, Maggie? That's exactly right. And what do we say about gnocchi? The gnocchi that I enjoy are supposed to be the soft pillow style gnocchi. So if I start to knead this unnecessarily, it's just going to work and develop the protein in the flour, and they're going to be tough. So almost done. Ooh, they are hot. So also, because they're so hot, you have to be mindful when you put your egg that you don't put the egg when the potatoes are too hot, because what will happen is you will basically cook the egg, okay? And obviously the sky is the limit when it comes to the dressing or the toppings for the gnocchi. You can put tomato sauce, meat sauce. The one I'm going to show you today is it's a traditional butter and herb with a little bit of Parm cheese. Oh, which reminds me, Emmanuel and Nathan, can somebody grade some Parm cheese when you get a minute? Maybe just about a cup. It's in the storage fridge on the upper left side. It is saran wrapped, if you don't mind, please. Thank you. What I have over there on the stove, in case you didn't catch it, is a large stock pot. We filled it with cold water and we put it on to boil. Gnocchi are the simplest things. They literally, because they are so fresh, you got to remember, I have here cooked or steamed or baked potatoes. So it's kind of already cooked, right? Once I add in my egg and my flour, I'm just going to drop them in boiling water just for like 30 seconds or so. And the really cool thing about gnocchi is it's like has a foolproof thing. You'll know they're cooked as soon as they float to the surface of the water. You allow them to float there for 15, 20 seconds maybe, and then you basically, gnocchi is one of those things that you sort of make it to order. Like usually when you serve gnocchi, because they are so light and soft, usually you use like a spider or a slotted spoon, and when the gnocchi float to the top, you scoop them and you make individual portions as opposed to like having a massive pot of gnocchi in a bowl or in a pot and then try to mix it. Because if they're too heavy and they crush each other, when you go to mix it, like they'll break apart and you end up making like mashed potatoes. So it's one of the only dishes where normally in Italy or the home place of pasta, um, most pasta, you're supposed to cook it al dente in the water, and then you're supposed to take the last couple of minutes and finish cooking it in the sauce. But gnocchi is one of those things where you plate it, and then you put the sauce on top, depending on which way you're making it. And again, that's because you don't want them to become all fall apart. They need to keep their shape. Okay. There's a lot of fancy gadgets and tools that you can purchase. Like I think I talked to you guys about a gnocchi board. Has anybody ever heard of a gnocchi board before? It's essentially a little piece of wood that has ridges on it. It's very similar to the side of a box grater where it has impressions. So because I don't have a gnocchi board I'll show you today, I will use the side of a box grater. And when you run the gnocchi, the dumplings, once they're made, there's a lot of things you can do. You can take a fork and you can slowly press a fork against them to put ridges. And the reason behind that is you heard of these things like penne rigate and on all these names for dishes. The rigidity on pasta noodles is to help trap sauce. Lisce means clean, like penne lisce means like a clean noodle. And there's, believe it or not, different sauces for different types of noodles. So by having ridges on the gnocchi, it's going to help capture some of the sauce and make it stick to it so that every single bite you're eating has that same experience. Okay, otherwise you're just eating essentially potato without anything in it. And you notice there's not even salt in here. Like we don't salt the dish because the salt goes in the water. Okay, so I'm just gonna tidy my table, and then here's the fun part. I have my potatoes. They're still hot. I'm going to take, what was I going to do? Oh, yeah, some bench flour over here. Now I'm going to take my potatoes and I'm going to put them in this ricer. The ricer's a bit finicky, so you might have to run them through twice, but it's a lot easier to do this while they're hot. So look, I just fill my ricer with potatoes like this. Maybe I'll just get a separate bowl so I can work a little smarter. And I'm just gonna, with a bit of strength, pick up the potatoes and push it through the ricer. So you'll see I push, and while it's hot, and then it's like a bunch of little worms. And then I gotta like, this is a bit finicky, so when I open it, the other stuff sort of fell through, and then I just fill it up again, basically, okay? Much easier to do this while the potatoes are still warm. One more time. This really allows you to skip the gym. This is a real workout here. There we go. And then I'll do it one more time with all the pieces that didn't fall through. Almost done. Take the last little bit, shove it in here. It's not the end of the world if I don't have every single piece of the potato run through the ricer. It's just a little bit more rustic and homemade in terms of the texture, but it's nice if you can do it all. Again, notice I would not want to, see, I'm like minimally trying to mess with these potatoes. Really hard to do this. Just use my paring knife to sort of scrape off any excess, and then just take the last little bit and push it through one more time. Just help adjust what's in here a little bit. Put this in one more time. Sorry, Parmesan cheese, please. It's wrapped in saran wrap, Emmanuel. It looks like a triangle. It should be in the upper left-hand side of the fridge, inside that silver sort of basket there in the corner. Yeah. Okay, so I'm done. The rest of it, even though it's not fully pressed, I'll just pull it out so I don't waste it. Like, see, there's a little bit stuck in there. I just get it out so I don't waste anything. It is a bit easier wearing gloves. Not that you have to, though, right? But it just makes for easier cleanup for me. So, okay, now that I'm done with that, here's the thing with the measurement now. So it's the same kind of idea when we make a yeast bread. I want to go slow with the flour. I don't want to add too much. You can always add more. Once you get into a stage where your gnocchi is too dry, you can't really hydrate it. It's not like regular egg pasta, so to speak, where you could add like a teaspoon or tablespoon of water. I really want to just be careful to not go too quickly. So you can see here I have all this beautiful potato here, and it's obviously I have nice clean table. So I have my bench scraper. I'm going to take about 3 eggs. I would say it is approximately half an egg to a small potato, or a really large potato to 1 large egg. I got about 18 potatoes in here, but by the time I get rid of the skin and everything else, you know, I lose a little bit. So I'm just going to go with 3 cracked eggs over here. Watch. 1, 2, there was a piece of skin in there. I don't want any potato skin in here at all. 3. You know what? Let's do 4 eggs just to be safe, because I had quite a few potatoes. When we do this as a class, by the way, you guys will have I have a recipe for you guys. So don't worry about that too much. And then just using the spoon, yeah. Yeah, approximately, yeah. Well, these were smaller potatoes. Lydia, that's why I'm only using 4 eggs. But yeah, The rule, if it's a large, like russet, like a big potato, it's around 1 egg per cup. I would say like finished cup of potato. Yeah, you're welcome. So look, I'm just gonna take my spoon. I'm just gonna mix this a little bit together, and because the eggs were cold, it's cooling down my mixture. Oops, another potato skin in there I don't want. Sometimes potato skins get away from you. And now I'm just gonna start to add a little bit of flour at a time. I'm gonna say I'll go with like, that's probably maybe half a cup right there for a minute. All I really want to do at this point is bring my dough together. So I'm just gonna take my hand and just mix it up and over. The eggs are wet, so I'm gonna need more flour, but I just want to like bring it together without over mixing it. Okay, just a hair more flour to get started. Notice I'm using the bowl first. Eventually I am going to transfer it to the counter. Can you put a lid on that stock pot so it boils, please, guys? If it's not already boiling already, please. Thank you. And I can just feel it's a little sticky. Again, I'm not going to put so much flour where it unsticks, but I don't want it too sticky. Again, you'll have a recipe. So I would say that was probably about a cup and a half, maybe 2 cups of flour. Not even, sorry. I would say about a cup and a quarter to a cup and a half. So now that I have my dough together, just going to knead it a little bit. So I'm going to watch what I'm going to do now. I'm going to clean every time. Oops, I ripped that glove. Just going to put another glove on. You just basically want to run your hands together. Sorry, I'm going to get a new glove. These are like 10 minutes away from being ready, by the way, if you can believe it or not. So the whole thing is not, it does not take a long time. It's a great dish. If you ever had like a dinner party or something and you wanted to get like people involved, you could give everybody like a portion of dough, you know what I mean? And at a counter, like you could have people roll out their own gnocchi, which is pretty neat. I'm just gonna, while my hands are clean, grab a box grater. Yeah, just grate a bunch if you don't mind. This one you can just put on very low heat for me, Emmanuel. Yeah, don't let the butter burn. It's gonna put it on the lowest heat. And that's it, the lowest heat. Just don't let the butter, if you notice the butter getting brown, let me know, okay? Let me know when that boils. I'm just gonna, yeah, just if you just keep grating that, that would be great. If you keep grating it, it would be great. Well, as much as you can. Maybe like a couple of cups of so I got a couple of box graters here. I'm choosing different ones because they give me different impressions. How's it going? Okay, no problem. We can always join in later. It's not a deal breaker. So I'll put gloves back on. I have a sheet pan, a clean sheet pan with parchment, because I want to put, oh my God, these gloves are awful. There we go, one purple, one blue. It's like the smallest glove in the world. Good thing I'm not a surgeon, eh? It's like this would be my fat hands. It's like a baby glove. That's what this is. It's for a newborn. Okay, now that I have the glove on, it's gonna get a full-size sheet pan with a clean piece of parchment for my finished product to go on. And now you're gonna see just how fast this comes together. So piece of parchment down, little bit of bench flour on my counter. I just want to get rid of that little bit of egg there, because if I mix my flour in with that egg, it ain't gonna turn out. So nice clean counter, smallest amount of bench flour. Watch how I scatter the flour as always, just from a high angle. I don't want to dry it out. It's a little bit of area to work. Nice, okay? And then I'm gonna take my dough and bring it down on the counter. And I'm just gonna really gently knead it. I'm just gonna, from the outside into the middle a little bit, just to get rid of the flour. Like I want it to be homogeneous, right? Homogeneous, is that the right way you say it? So I don't have any, that's it. Like, again, no salt, just potatoes, 4 eggs, a little bit of flour, and there I have it. Now I'm gonna take my trusty bench scraper, which is important always to clean the counter, and I'm just gonna probably work in 4. This is nice and soft, by the way. I know you won't be able to see that from there, but if I roll it into this sort of cylindrical shape like this and I cut it in half and I cut the half in a quarter, I'm going to work with a quarter at a time. I'm going to roll this into a snake, and as I put pressure, I'm going to splay my fingers so it turns into a snake. So just going to keep rolling it. And I'm looking for the same diameter all the way through. If it gets a little too long, I can work in other sections again. I like the gnocchi, like medium size, not too big. The biggest thing is, however, whatever size you do like, it's important that they're all the same size so that they cook the same. Okay, not that they take a long time to cook at all, but that's probably what I'm after. So I roll the thicker side like this. I guess leave these here for a minute, and I'll do the same with the other piece. Take it. If I need the smallest amount of flour, that's okay. Look how little the way I spread it. Do the same thing with this guy. Move these guys. So once you have a little thick here, so I'm just going to work on this part. Again, probably work in sections a bit easier. Notice, like, I didn't mess with this for very long at all, right? It was a couple minutes, but I didn't really work the dough. Okay, probably the most amount of working I was doing was in the rolling. Now that I have half of my ropes done here, again, just continuing down the course, always just a small, light dusting. Splay the fingers, put gentle pressure in the beginning. And I'm almost done. They got these also, by the way, I should tell you, freeze exceptionally well. So when we make like extra cookies and stuff like that, as long as I make a bunch of these and I leave space on my parchment covered sheet pan, when they're individually frozen, I can bag them all and I can boil them from frozen immediately. So if you had unexpected guests drop by, or you want a really quick party idea, if you have some sauce ready, you make a bunch of extra, all of the work is in the sort of boiling and baking and peeling. So it's not a bad idea to double or triple your recipe. Put a bunch on a sheet pan if you have freezer space to individually freeze them. And then Robert's your dad's brother when it's time for people to come over unexpected. You see? Here's the last one. Just the smallest amount of flour. I notice it gets a little sticky. But you see how gentle I've been with the flour, right? Okay, so here's the fun part now. Now I'm going to take my trusty bench scraper. Just going to line up a couple of these guys together. And I'm gonna try to make equal size pieces of gnocchi. So I'm just gonna, and then I'll show you what I mean with putting it. You don't have to put the impressions, but watch what I can do. I take my gnocchi board and just ever so gently with my finger, not too much pressure, and just roll it. And I don't know if you can see this, but there's like these little ribs. Can you see that? Am I in the right spot with the camera? There's like, yeah, what I'm doing is look, just a little bit of pressure, a little bit with my finger, just rolling it against the backside of a gnocchi grater. And I now have these little impressions on here. The thing about homemade food, you know, in traditional French or Italian cuisine or like Mediterranean cuisine is that no two things are the same. It is the simplest ingredients that make some of the best, you know, sort of comfort foods. Alternatively, I can take a kitchen fork as another example. I'll show you in a little bit of flour, dip a kitchen fork. That little bit of, I guess, skin, rough edge, rigidity, so that when we go to do it, they sell gnocchi boards. They're like 15, 20 bucks, or the really expensive ones can be up even more, double than that. But it's a gimmick. I mean, I'll tell you something, long before they had gnocchi boards, they've been making this meal for thousands of years. So people used whatever they had available to them. Okay, they are nice. You can have them, but this is essentially the same thing. I'm not putting too much pressure. I don't want to misshape them too much. So I'll do some, and I'll even try some without, just so that you guys can um, get a sense. Working? Okay. Sure. Okay. So watch. I'm gonna try. Quentin hooked me up with this helmet. We're gonna see if it works. Might need a second to put it on. Carefully pick these up and put them on my tray. They are super soft and super light and fluffy. Another thing about gnocchi too is they're filling, so you don't need a lot. Like, how many potatoes can one person actually eat? Remember, it's not just potato, but I added the flour, which is going to make them a little more dense. So, talk about a super economic meal. As I mentioned, this used to be like peasant food back, 100 years ago, and now it's like a delicacy. A lot of times when you go to like these fancy restaurants and gnocchi is on the menu, you're gonna find that you're oftentimes paying for it, and that's probably mostly because of the labor. Okay, so I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna put it on a tray and bring it over. How's it going over here, guys? So I got butter. This is great. I got butter on the stove here, and I'm gonna just boil some of these potatoes. So I'm gonna bring this over to my boiling water. Just gonna wait for it to boil one more second. That's great. You can just put it in a bowl for me. Thank you, Emmanuel. I'm gonna make this dish today with a simple sauce, which is just a mixture of butter with some fresh garlic and a bit of sage and Parmesan cheese. You could add some chili flakes and stuff like that, but it's a really, really simple, classic Parmesan gnocchi with butter. Okay, so it looks like a lot of butter, but you got to remember that is really the only sauce that we're using. So it's following me around. Look at this here. Let's go over to the fridge. This is super cool. Super cool. We're geeks. Okay, so I don't know if you can see over here. I got some butter here. I don't want to burn it. That's what you see here in the pan are the milk solids separating, right? As soon as this water's boiling, I'm going to use a spider again. So it's not going to take long. As soon as this water boils, I'm going to do it in 2 batches just because I don't want to crowd the pan. No problem. Emmanuel, can you please get like 20 of these plates, these little baby plates here that you put the garlic on so that when I do go to give the gnocchi for everybody, they can all have a plate. And just some kitchen forks. Okay, so the water's boiling. Watch what I'm going to do. I'm just going to come over here, take the lid off. Sorry for the noise. And I'm just going to use my hands or try to put them in all at the same time. I want to make sure that the water is a rolling boil so they float. So I'm just going to try to put them in as quickly as possible without burning myself. Again, they're not going to take long at all. Sorry, I will find out what's going on from Quentin. I don't know how to do that at the moment. Just know that all I'm doing right now is putting this stuff in here. They're going to float in a New York minute. So, again, some of these have rigidity, and some of them I just kept liché or clean. There, that's about half. So I'm going to move this aside for a second. Sorry about that. When Quentin comes back, he'll be able to fix it for us. I know you can't see right now, but they haven't floated yet. The water got a little bit cloudy from the flour, but in any second now, they're going to float. I'm going to raise the heat a little bit on my frying pan next door. I'm just going to take raw garlic cloves, about, I don't know, 4, like this. I don't want actual bits of garlic like in the dish. I just want the essential oils that are going to come out of the garlic. So I'm just going to put it in the pan like that. And now, believe it or not, the gnocchi is floating already. Just going to let it float for like a couple seconds because I still like a little bit of al dente. I'm just going to grab a little bit of sage and watch what I do now. I'm just going to pick up the gnocchi with my spider and I'm going to move it, shake off the excess agua, and it's going to go right into my butter mix. Drain off the water. Yeah, we had a little mishap there, Quentin. Something's going on with the... So all I'm doing is putting this. See how fast they float? And there. So those are them. This is just butter. Little toss. I'm going to put a little bit of sage. If I had sage leaves, I would use sage leaves, but I have ground sage today, so no big deal. Just going to sprinkle a little bit on top. Of course, you can put whatever you want. Maybe I'll just put a couple of chili flakes just for a little bit of that sort of rustic flavor. Not too many for heat, but just for a little bit of flavor. And these are almost done. Now watch this. Thank you, Emmanuel. And a little quick toss just to get a little bit of crispy skin on them. Working fairly quickly here. The biggest thing when you're cooking is to make sure that we have everything ready, right? All of the work is in the preparation. And these are almost done. Just another. I like to get a little bit of skin just to soak up. I might just put the smallest amount of salt because, believe it or not, Mr. Nadalin, in speaking, forgot to salt the water. So I just put a little bit of salt on the gnocchi, but normally I wouldn't salt the gnocchi, I would salt the water. Not only that, but the Parmesan cheese has quite a bit of salt on it as well. So and I got to be a guinea pig. I'm going to just try one here, obviously with a clean fork, just to see how we're doing, just to adjust the seasoning. Wow. Pretty good. I'm going to take some Parmesan cheese and put some Parmesan cheese. And now these are done. So I'm going to take it over here. I'm going to get a slotted spoon. No, sorry, not a slotted spoon, a regular spoon, because I want everyone to have a little bit of the butter. Thank you, Emmanuel. Emmanuel's going to help me. Him and Nathan are going to help hand these out to everybody. Do you mind? Or you can put everything on a tray if you want, the cart over there if you want, Emmanuel, over there in front of the fridge by the dishwasher's a black cart. You can just help pass these all around. I'm going to make some more. You want to eat this while it's fresh. Gnocchi's like risotto. It's like one of those things where, do we have enough plates? Do we have a plate for Quentin and Miss Oucher? Do you mind getting a couple more plates when you get a minute, please? 3 more, please. So I'd like you guys to try this. If you happen to get a garlic, you don't have to eat it, okay? Just watch. I mean, you're welcome to eat it. Just watch who you're talking to after. Thank you very much, guys, for your help. And I'm going to just finish this with a little bit of butter for everyone, which is our sauce. Yes. Or you can put some on the tray, on the cart, and just wheel them over to everybody. I'm just going to give you the smallest amount of Parmesan cheese. And I want you to try. I'd like you to at least try it, please. I'm going to make a little bit more. The only other work that I have for you today, once you're done this, guys, is a 5-minute Ed puzzle on the other guy. On Gordon Ramsay. Okay? So, yeah, ideally we want forks to, here, we can just carry him over. So try this. You got to give it a whirl. Hey, it's following me around. Look at this. Yeah, try it, okay? And try it. It's very hot. Be careful. Here you go. Here you go.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So give it an honest feedback. I want you to tell me about, here, Quentin, here's one for you. Want to try it? And maybe one for Miss Oucher. We need, ideally, we want some forks, please, Nathan. If any of them have spoons, can we switch it to a fork? Oh, in the bottom drawer over here behind the, there should be more forks in here as well. If there's none there, there should be more here. Okay, thank you. How is it? Huh? As it gets as enough salt. Again, so couple of ingredients. Parmesan cheese has a little bit of salt in it, so I always don't want to put. You could obviously put fresh cracked pepper, but I think it's a nice, sort of really nice, simple dish that is a nice comfort food. And again, depending on the sauce, you could make it a winter meal, or you could have it a little bit lighter. Oftentimes, people will mix in ricotta cheese, which is like a cottage cheese almost. It's really light and fluffy. You would at that stage you would mix it in with the potatoes, maybe maybe go one less egg. But